Welcome to The Explainer. So let's talk about a strange modern paradox. We live in an age with more information than ever before, right? But for so many of us, why does it feel like we're getting worse, not better? We're all told that clarity is the answer, but what if our brains were never actually designed for total clarity in the first place?
I mean, think about it. We are absolutely swimming in information. Search engines give us any answer in a fraction of a second. We have data analysis to break down every single problem. We're constantly pushed to find the underlying logic for everything. We have never, ever been more informed. So why does it seem like at the exact same time, rates of anxiety, depression, and just sheer procrastination are going through the roof? Here it is, right here. The disconnect laid out plain and simple. On one side, we have this incredible growing toolkit for finding clarity, but on the other side, the way we actually feel is, well, completely overwhelmed. It's like we're chasing this idea of perfect understanding, but the result isn't freedom, it's paralysis. So what if the problem isn't that we don't know enough, but that our brains just can't handle this level of clarity?
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to look at how our brain actually works. And the answer starts with a number that is, and I'm not exaggerating, genuinely shocking. It shows that your experience of reality, it's not a live stream. It's more like a heavily edited highlights reel. That's it. 99.996%. That is the percentage of raw, sensory data your brain deletes every single second. And listen, this isn't a glitch or a bug, it's a mandatory firewall. It has to do this to stop your conscious mind from completely and totally overloading.
The sheer scale of this filter is it's mind-boggling. Every second, your senses, your eyes, your ears, everything are taking in about 11 million bits of information. But your conscious mind, the part of you that's actually experiencing the world, it can only handle about 40. Just 40! That staggering difference means that the reality you perceive is built on this tiny, curated fraction of what's actually out there.
And this isn't just random filtering. It's an absolutely brilliant energy-saving strategy called predictive coding. See, your brain isn't just sitting there passively taking in information. No, it's making a constant stream of predictions, guesses, about what it expects to see and hear. It only brings a surprise, something that doesn't fit the prediction, to your conscious attention. Everything else? It just gets ignored. This is what lets you focus on what really matters for survival, like, say, the lion in the grass, not every single blade of grass itself.
Okay, so if our brain is specifically designed to ignore almost everything, what would happen if we could just turn that filter off? If we could see the world with perfect, unfiltered clarity? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is the exact opposite of enlightenment. It's a living nightmare.
This quote comes from Dr. Temple Grandin, a renowned scientist and autism advocate. She has this unique insight because her brain's filtering system works differently. And her description just nails it. It perfectly captures that feeling of sensory overload. It's not about seeing more truth. It's about being completely drowned in noise.
Yeah, seeing everything turns out to be a form of sensory torture. This unfiltered reality is often linked to conditions like schizophrenia and autism spectrum disorders. The ability to perceive the world in this much detail isn't some kind of superpower. It's a debilitating condition that can make just getting through the day almost impossible.
So this brings us to one of the most important concepts for our mental survival. The brain doesn't just filter reality, it's also designed to bend it, just slightly, in our favor. You can think of it like a pre-installed software package, an algorithm, designed specifically to keep us going.
Psychologists call this software positive illusions. And here's the real kicker. These so-called biases are not flaws. They are actually the hallmarks of a healthy functioning mind. A little bit of unrealistic optimism, a slightly inflated sense of self, and the belief that you have a bit more control than you actually do, these are essential features, not bugs.
In fact, classic psychology studies on something called depressive realism shows something absolutely fascinating. People who are experiencing depression often have a more statistically accurate view of the world and their own lack of control over random events. They see things more clearly, more realistically. But that clarity comes at a devastating cost. It paralyzes them. The illusionists, on the other hand, the ones with healthy minds, they overestimate their influence, and that's what motivates them to keep trying, to persist, and to actually do things.
This leads us perfectly to a famous old philosophical puzzle that just captures the danger of pure, unfiltered rationality. It's called Burden's donkey. So imagine this donkey, right? It's perfectly rational, and it's standing exactly midway between two equally appealing, totally identical stacks of hay.
So what happens? Well, because the donkey has no perfectly logical reason to choose one stack over the other, it gets stuck. It just keeps analyzing, unable to make a move, because neither choice is rationally superior. And so, surrounded by all this food, it starves. It dies from perfect logic.
And this brilliantly illustrates our modern problem, analysis paralysis. We are that donkey. With infinite information and endless choices, we get trapped in this loop of overthinking, trying to find the perfect, risk-free decision. And in the process, we end up doing nothing at all.
So what's the solution then? If total clarity is a trap, how do we protect our brain's natural built-in algorithm for survival? Well, the answer isn't to become dumber. It's to become smarter about what we choose to ignore. We need to learn the art of what you might call strategic ignorance.
And this is a practical skill you can actually practice. It's inspired by the ancient wisdom of Nanda Hutu, which you can translate as the art of being wisely muddled. So first, set hard boundaries for your attention. Then, start treating those obsessive thoughts like system noise, not urgent messages. Learn to embrace 70% good enough, because 100% is a fantasy. Actively let go of what you can't control. And finally, become a partially clear person, a laser on what matters and a blur on everything else.
You know, there's an old Chinese saying that captures this idea perfectly, even though it sounds kind of lazy on the surface. It describes someone who wouldn't even bother to pick up a knocked-over bottle of oil. So why would this be seen as a sign of wisdom and not just neglect?
Because the point isn't to be irresponsible, of course not. It's about conserving your finite mental and emotional energy. That person understands that most things are just not worth the cost of their attention. An oil bottle fell over. Okay, it's not a catastrophe. By choosing not to react to every single minor problem, they save their energy for what is truly essential in life.
So in the end, we live in a world that is just screaming for total clarity, demanding we analyze everything to death. But maybe the greatest act of wisdom, the most powerful survival skill we have, is to consciously and strategically choose our ignorance. So I'll just leave you with this question. For the sake of your own sanity and your ability to actually move forward, what will you give yourself permission to ignore today?